Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily Dish. It is Monday, of course, Motivational Monday. And let me just say, after a week off, I'm delighted to be back. So it's so good to see Jocelyn. There's my girl Flynn. Kathy's in the house. Nancy, Doris. Good to have you all here. Mary Ann, so good to have you. So cheers. I am enjoying right now a little bit of hot melt mix. And I always throw in a little L-glutamine. L-glutamine is also really helpful for muscle recovery besides cravings and all the rest of it. But let me tell you, it makes a big, big difference. So if you're like me and you're really active and all of a sudden you're, let me just say something. Things just don't bounce back the way they used to. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jeanette. So good to see you. Diane, lovely to have you here. Yes, I am better. Doris, hello. Good to have you. So for those of you who missed the announcement, yes, I had COVID. So wow, what a horrible little virus that one is. I'm going to make some super strong suggestions to any of you who are out there who've not yet got it. I want you to remember something, a couple of things. Number one is COVID is endemic, meaning it's just a matter of time before you get it. Sorry, guys, but this is the way it is unless you plan on living in your basement for the rest of your life. And two, vitamin D levels way up there are your best way to fight this infection. Because my vitamin D levels are optimal, we had 2 days of symptoms, and I'm really convinced that was it. Monday and Tuesday we had fevers, and then on Wednesday we were better, just not fully feeling fabulous, but no symptoms, no other stuff. So vitamin D levels, that's where it's at, y'all. That's where it's at. So if you don't know your vitamin D level, ask your doctor with the next time that you do your blood tests, standard blood tests, ask them for a vitamin D level. Now, you will have that they range all over the place. And if they say, oh yeah, it's fine, you're normal, and you're in the low normal, not good enough. We want to be in optimal. Remember, we're not trying to scrape by. We're trying to be the very best that we can be. Do I have anybody who's going to agree with me on that? Pinky's way up on that. Also, another protocol that I did is I followed our Cootie protocol. And number one. Number two is I have a girlfriend who has Chinese medicine credentials and what have you, and helped us with a little bit of Chinese medicine. So that was super helpful. And I'm just sharing my experience because everything that I know about, good health and what have you, I was surprised that we got COVID, honestly. But, again, it's endemic. It is no longer a question of when if you're going to get it, it's when. Okay. So don't get all smug and think that, hey, I'm just not going to get it. Not necessarily true. Hello there, Martha. It's so good to have you here. And I see my friend Jane in the house. There's our girl Tanya. Catherine, nice to have you here. Deborah's in the house as well. Jennifer, Francesca, lovely. And if I missed anyone, I'm really glad to see you. Hey, Lisa, you're getting over COVID too. Oh, Lisa, I know. It's such a pain. But here we all are, and we're thriving, and we're doing the very, very best that we can. And again, I'm just really delighted to be able to be sharing this space with you right now, right? So my daughter and son-in-law just came over. They were borrowing our car because they're getting picking up some big bookcases in Charlotte. So They needed our car, and it was really nice to see them and hug them again. So this is all good. Um, we have announcements, of course, always. And if you've been paying attention, in just a few short weeks, in just, I don't even know how many days. How many days from now? How many days from now? Is it, what is today, the 18th, the 17th? It is the 18th. So in 11 days, we are full blooming right here in Brevard, North Carolina. All the information for Full Bloom can be found at savingdinner.com/bloom. And we are also going to live stream. Now, you want to meet Amber? You want to meet Jenny? You want to meet me? That's how you're going to be able to do it if you come in person to the event. Now, I know it's pretty much getting to the place of last minute, but things work out for the best sometimes. So if it's something that you're kind of going, ooh, I really want to go take a peek at that page and see if this is something that you can pull off. Because I'll tell you something, possibilities are always there. Ask yourself this question: what if I went? Can you imagine what it would be like to be there with everyone? Well, I can tell you it's going to be pretty cool. Also, any announcement that you might need, savingdinner.com/announcements. Debbie's looking for the Cootie protocol. Amber is on the, I think Amber can probably post that for you right here in the comments. So just be looking for that. I think it's Cootie. There it is. Yeah. savingdinner.com/Cootie. That's it. Cootie. We hate the cooties. So I think I did this show not so long ago, but I'm repeating it anyway. Simply because the show that I want to share with you today I think is one of the most critical needle movers in my docket, because once you understand this, and once you know in your heart of hearts that everything has a cost and everything has a pain associated with that cost, then it's just a matter of deciding and choosing the pain that you're willing to endure. I know that sounds pretty simplistic, and it is, but I'm going to kind of unpack this a little bit. I'm going to share from my own bag of tricks, my own bag of experience on what this meant and how this opened my eyes. And I'm going to give you some tips too on getting to this place so that you are making actual choices in your life that you want, and you're not defaulting to what you've always done. Okay? That's where we're going to go with all of this. So one of the things that I know is that everything does have a cost, and that there is no such thing as a free pass. There's always a contingency. There's always a hook, isn't there? Or strings attached at some point. So we have to take a peek at that. Now, Mark and I shared this before, besides playing, we're avid pickleball players. We're also avid skiers. And when we lived in Boulder, Colorado, it was a simple thing. We bought ski passes every year. And what I noticed was every single year, those ski passes got more and more expensive. And what was required for these ski passes, by the way, was that you would pay a big amount of money up front so that your daily ski lift pass was a whole lot cheaper. And it made sense if you were going to do a whole lot of skiing. And it makes sense. It doesn't make sense, obviously, if you're only going to show up once or twice on the slopes. But for us, that was the thing that we wanted to do. So that was the trade-off for the skiing. You either had the pain of paying all that money up front so that you can pay the lesser amount down the road, or you had the full retail value that you would pay as you showed up every time on the slopes. But everything has an opportunity cost. You've heard that before, right? The opportunity costs. Of course you have. So if you are in wild pursuit for, let's say, your dream job, and you say, yeah, my dream job is X, Y, and Z. Well, then you know that in order to get to the place from here of what your current job is to here of what your dream job is, you're going to have to do some things to get there. It's not just going to magically land on your lap. That kind of stuff doesn't usually help. So it means that you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to lay the foundation. You're going to have to look in your network. There's things that one does when they're in pursuit of something that they want along the way. And the same thing with attaining optimal health. It's not just one of those things. You recognize and realize that there needs to be an analysis done. Is this taking me to the place and giving me optimal health? Are these things that I'm doing? Are these habits that I'm doing? Are my choices actively putting me on that trajectory toward good health? We have to, and we start thinking about things like, okay, so what's the salad dressing about? Maybe the salad dressing is sketchy with bad oils and what have you. We dump that kind of stuff. We recognize that margarine's never going to get us there, but butter's a much healthier option. We see that when we're constantly in the place of snacking, we're actually in a place of inflammation because our bodies never have a chance to cool down and to kind of cycle through the digestive cycle and get the insulin back down again and allow it to move back up as you eat. And we start getting rid of all of that and start looking at target trifecta meals, because target trifecta meals hit all cylinders all at the same time. We understand that we need to start hydrating appropriately, and that, a soda is just not going to do it. Either is drinking a bunch of juice and energy drinks. I call those stupid sodas, stupid choices for hydrating your body, because they don't hydrate. They actually cause inflammation. And then we have to look at how our sleep is affecting us. Is it on point? Does it need dialed in? Do I need to correct my sleep habits? And we also have to recognize that if you're sitting all day long, you're going to have back problems. If you aren't moving at all, you are going to stall your metabolism out. If you're sitting, that it is considered the new smoking, simply because it is detrimental to your health. So then we take the overlay and we look at, again, the choice of the two pains, right? And we recognize that this is the same for relationships as well. Because in a relationship, let me ask you if anybody recognizes this. Is it just sunshine and roses at all times for you? Just never a conflict. Everything's just lovely, right? It's not true, because zero conflict means zero growth. Conflict is something that brings us to a place of understanding that it's pushing us to grow, or it's pushing us to reevaluate something. I mean, you might have a relationship that you're constantly in conflict with, a friendship or whatever. Maybe you need to realign that and rethink that and think, what is this whole thing about? But we have to be, when in our close relationships, we have to be about growth and acceptance. And growth and acceptance means that we have to look at everything. So growth in that we support and love each other's evolution, because that's part of the whole thing, because we're healthy and we're thriving. Healthy and thriving people celebrate one another's growth, even when it's painful, even when it's rough, even when it's hard to fathom, hey, how did I get here? Has anybody ever been in that position? I know I have. We change and we become our next iteration of ourselves. It's never a good thing to just stay the same as where we are, because it is required of us to live on purpose and for purpose. And you cannot do that if you just stay the same. We have to grow. And acceptance in that change is messy and can push us hard into new and very uncomfortable territory. And guess who hates that? That's right, your amygdala. She's screaming. She's just screaming up a storm. Oh my gosh, don't do this! Because your amygdala hates any kind of risk. And your amygdala is constantly saying, danger, danger, I don't like this, etc. But the fact is, we have to push it a little bit. We have to push it a little bit in order for us to engage fully in the dynamic of who we are. We don't get to live an optimal life unless we are changing as we go. It's just the facts. So we have to, let's go back to this idea that we have to understand that there are no free passes and that everything has a cost. Because this is the part that rubbed me. This is the part that made my eyes open. And I'm going to invite you to this and just try it on and see how it fits a little bit, okay? The most important question to ask yourself when it comes to this idea that you have to pay in some form is what? What's the most important question you have to ask yourself? Is it worth it? Is this something that I am willing to pay in order to get X? It's simple kind of a thing. We have to take a look at the totality of the big picture of what it is that we want. And there's no such thing as getting there pain-free. And there's no such thing as getting there with a free pass. You know, we're never going to just skate right in. It's always going to be a bit of a struggle. It's always going to have some pain involved, and it's always going to require a little bit of endurance, a little bit of grit, and a whole lot of no quit. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. So I call it your lift ticket experience, right? You're going to pay a little bit up front, but it's going to cost you way less down the road. So let me give you a couple of examples. And I'm, kind of going through this right now, and that is a little painful muscle. You know, as you work out, your muscles get stronger. As you work out, your muscles do the work and start protecting your bone. They start protecting your muscle as well. As we get older, if we don't use our muscles, we will lose them. Not only that, but we'll also lose our bone strength and we'll lose all kinds of things. The connection between the two is just unbelievable. You can start doing some of the research yourself if you want and look at how especially skeletal muscle affects an aging body. Because let's face it, we all have aging bodies. I don't care if you're 30 or if you're 70, you have an aging body because every single day it gets a little bit older. You pay the cost when you transition from being a sugar burner to being a fat burner. Anyone ever feel this one? Anybody go through the low carb flu? Oh my gosh, you know what that feels like. It feels like you've got the flu. It doesn't feel good. There is a cost involved into making that transition. Man, once you get there, doesn't it feel good? Isn't it great? I mean, that to me is the lift ticket expense right there. It's a little painful going in, but it makes all the difference in the world. And you pay the cost of beginning any healthy new habit because you're very likely going to have to drop an old habit, create a new one, and then make it, you're going to want to make it fit you too. You're going to have to customize that. So our habits never are just take this one, discard it, and add this one in instead. Not usually. Usually what happens is that you have to say, okay, so this isn't working diet-wise. What can I do? And maybe you take the hot milk sprint and you use that as your template for what will work for you. It's all up to you. But we have to have that kind of flexibility with ourselves. And we have to also understand that our choices very much are going to impact the kind of vibrant life that we have or we don't have. And I think the quote of the week this week is something that a vibrant life is worked for and doesn't just get handed to you. It's my quote. So I don't know where it is. It's around here somewhere. I was going to say Jenny has it. Amber has it. Amber's on the other side right there. So there it is. Vibrant lives don't just happen. They're planned for and they're worked for. And I think this is the main reason that I bring this up is that we have to understand that vibrancy doesn't just come knocking at the door. It is something that we have earned. And that earning part makes just all the difference in the world, because now what we're saying with all the work that we've done to get where we are is that we've invested in ourselves. We haven't just spent frivolously. We've invested in ourselves, and that's a big, big deal. So we always pay the cost with anything, don't we? There's a choice in which pain you choose. And the thing that's interesting about it is no pain isn't an option. Nobody gets to skirt this idea of no pain. Nobody gets a free pass. Everybody pays somehow, and it's painful. You know, if you choose not to make a choice, that non-choice that you defaulted to is still a choice. And that is going to also carry with it consequences or rewards. That's how it works. So you've got to figure out the pain you're willing to suffer. Isn't that funny? To me, that was just like such an aha, because I spent so much time trying to figure out how to get around the pain and how to make it easier. Where's the hack for that? Where's the shortcut? And there isn't one. That's what I figured out. And so when you start to lean into the pain and understand that, yeah, it's true, there is no gain without the pain, then you're going to start to feel the pain feels less. It doesn't feel nearly as overwhelming. And there's a whole lot less to whine about. And it gives us an opportunity to figure out our end game. And when our end game is, I want a vibrant life, I'm willing to plan for it, I'm willing to work for it, then you're willing to pay the costs of how things work out. I love it. You are willing to pay that cost, and it won't be pain-free, but it'll be a little less painful because you fully comprehend and understand it. So this is why we need hot desire in the equation. You know, I talk about hot desire all the time because it's super important. And hot desire kind of encompasses this whole otherwise paragraph that I would have to, define for you. And that is, this is something that you want so badly, so badly. And one of the things, by the way, to keep us in hot desire is to keep our eye on the goal and not just the desire of what it is that we want. Because when we start looking at our hot desire and just, but I want it, we're coming from a place of lack and scarcity. But if we take our hot desire and say, yes, that is exactly what I want. So what are my goals? What does that mean? What is that going to require of me then in order to get that hot desire? Our hot desire needs to move our eye onto the goal. And this is how we stay out of that place of scarcity and lack, and we move into the place of abundance. And we start to see that each little step matters, that each little step forward toward that goal matters. And it just changes the whole trajectory of the way you do things. Changes your entire perspective. It changes your attitude about it because it makes you excited about what your goal is. That's huge. So you got to ask yourself these questions. What do I really want? Right? What am I soul hungry for? What do I want to have happen in my life? You know, do I want this vibrant life that we talk about endlessly? Do I? If I want that vibrant life, what am I willing to give up in order to get it? And ask yourself those questions. This is the place of honesty, and this is the place of raw vulnerability, of really getting to know yourself and tearing it all down. This is where the why matrix comes in super handy. You keep asking yourself why? You know, because a lot of times it starts with, maybe like, I just want to wear a pair of smaller jeans, to all the way down to tears streaming down your face. And I want to have a relationship with my grandchildren and be able to play with them on the ground and go on rides with them at the amusement park and, things like that. And that just that brings it down to a whole different granular level where you're feeling it in your very heart of hearts. Number 3 is, I've got 4 things to really help you with all this. I have a system, by the way, for this, all of that. I have a system. I've got 4 things to help you with the process of pain. So the first one, though, is that you have to create your system. Create your system. For me, that has meant morning ritual, evening ritual. These morning and evening rituals are way different than a morning and evening routine. You know all that fly lady stuff. We're not talking about cleaning your toilet. We're talking about drenching your soul in your goal. We're talking about elevating the level of life that you want to live by. And that's not a put down at all on routines. Those are things that we do for our house and our homes and our sanity to make things, work. But there's also a secondary component to this whole thing to get to this place of vibrancy, and that is self-care. A morning routine and a morning and an evening ritual will give you that. It's bookends for your day. There's meditation and journaling and all kinds of things, because honestly, what is this life except that it is an act of self-discovery so that we can live on purpose and for purpose, so that we can live vibrantly. That's how this whole thing works. So when we have these morning and evening rituals, where everything starts to fall into place. And then number 2 is on that whole thing are your piggyback habits that you want to add in there. So there's habits of things that you want to do in order to become and in order to execute better on your routine and your ritual. So keep all of those things in mind, because this is how you create your supportive environment, your curated supportive environment. And this is how you also create just a kind of a framework that you can hang everything on. Remember what I said, a vibrant life is always planned for and worked for. It doesn't happen any other way. And don't forget about the hot desire part, because that hot desire is asking yourself the question is, who do I want to become? Who am I? What's my identity? Because your identity is the thing that's going to line you up with your goals. I am an athlete is the one that I have shared with you. And I am an athlete has taken me through all kinds of stuff and given me just unmovable things that I do in my day every single day, as long as I'm healthy and all of that. So when we do all of these things, we watch how the needle starts to move in our lives, because it's not just like lose a bunch of weight and then boom, everything is great. It is about who you are becoming. During our little COVID illness, Mark and I watched a movie called Burlesque, and it was with Christina Aguilera and Cher. Burlesque, whatever, music, dancing, etc. Nobody took their clothes off. Don't worry about it. But it was interesting to me because I didn't even recognize Christina Aguilera. She was like this big around. And that's not who she is. That's not the woman that she is. And what I noticed about this whole thing is that, who we are is always going to show up in our daily habits. And yeah, you can lose all kinds of weight and go down to like size whatever, but your dailiness of life needs to be there to support whatever that is. Whether it's any kind of a change in habits or what have you, or it's a change in your whole body style. She did this for a movie role and she hasn't sustained it since. And that's nothing against her. It's just not her body style, right? It's not her body style. So what do you really want? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in this world? What do you want to project? What's your purpose? What's your why? Those kind of things are juicy tidbits that you're not going to discover in one little journaling session. You're not going to discover in one little meditation session. You're going to get hints along the way And you'll see the cues along the way that are saying, yes, this is who you are. Yes, this is who you want to be. This is your identity when you start choosing it and picking it up. Number 3 is to get really good at a few things. Really good. Because more isn't necessarily better, right? We have this notion that we got to have all the things. But we don't need to have pile on. We need to add on. Okay? Let me explain that. There's a big difference. And there's also commitment involved to getting good at a few things, to create a feeling of accomplishment on just those things that you can do. Where is my girl Tanya? There she is. Tanya, I think I would really call her out on this, because she made her focus on a few small things, and look what she did. And not to mention all the cucumbers, right? Am I right? But we watched what she did with that. And then we watched again as her identity evolved, as she focused on a few small things. Those few small things have made a difference in attitude, in focus, and in creating the vibrant life that she wants to live. When we focus on our problems, we're just going to get more problems. And that's not to say that the problems are, don't need attention, but we also need to be looking and focusing strongly and like a heat-seeking missile onto the goal that we want, because that's when the complexity falls apart and the imagination just goes bing, and we start to think of ideas that are going to help us out. So the last one, this was kind of my eye-opener, and it's to thrive instead of strive. Now, hear me out on all of this. It's a hard lesson because we strive and we're saying, yes, but I really want this, and and I get all of that. I get that that is the goal. That is the thing. That is what we want. I get that. But we have to be available for the easy parts, but we can't expect that it's all going to be easy. There's going to be a place of struggle. It's the crucible. This is where it all drills down. And it doesn't matter how curated your environment is. It doesn't matter how anything it is that you have together. If you just decide to throw the baby out with the bathwater, you are going to get nothing in return. So we've kind of got to be calling ourselves out and bringing ourselves right back to this whole place of understanding what it's going to take. So I have found contentment and thriving, even when I'm not where I want to be just yet, but it comes from this simple practice of gratitude. I might not be where I want to be yet, but I'm so grateful that I have boom. We all want to get there. We want to see the end of our goals come to fruition. We all want that. Sure we do. But can I tell you that the journey is your teacher? The journey's the teacher. Allow that to be your crucible and not just hitting that goal. Allow that to teach you that this needs to go and this needs to stay. That's what I mean about thriving instead of striving. Instead of striving, it's so hard. I want to do this. I got to do that. It is thriving with what it is that you have. It's thriving with gratitude in your heart for even the small modicum of whatever it is that you have in your life. We start there and things start to change. So here's a couple of things that you can do, 3 things that you can do to help that. One is to write it out. Write out your gratitude every single day, because when you have your, you got your pincher grasp going on here, that actually talks to your brain. When you're doing this and you're writing this out, you're telling yourself that this is a truth in my life. That's number 1. And number 2 is express it to your people on a regular basis. Hello, I love you. Thank you for all that you're doing for me. I appreciate so much that you do X, Y, and Z. You're always there for me. You've always got my back. Whatever. When we button our lip and we don't have a little, not even a little bit of gratitude coming out of our mouths, it points back to us like, nothing is nothing ever good enough. So if you can, and the third thing is if you can live it and feel it, then you're going to experience it. And that gratitude is game changer, completely game changer. And when we enjoy and love, gratitude is always present. Have you noticed that? Gratitude is always present. And I want you to remember this as you are paying the cost for whatever choices that you are choosing in your life. That if you are to change the trajectory of your life and you are to walk into the vibrant life that you want to live, it's not going to come because you shot from the hip. It's not going to come because you neglected to do the work. It's going to come because you have made the decision to do the work. It's going to come because you've actually planned for it. And it's absolutely going to blossom into full bloom because of the gratitude that you generously sprinkle over all of it. Watch how this doesn't happen in your life. Because I know for me, this is the absolute truth, and it changed everything. So I'm inviting you to this place of getting to the place of understanding that there are two pains, one of regret and one of doing the work. Which one are you going to choose? I hope you're going to do the work. You're worth it. How fun. It was so nice to see you all. Really, to see you all and to be back in the saddle again. I want you to go to savingdinner.com/announcements for all of the announcements. And remember, it is not too late it's still not too late to come to full bloom. Just saying. But it's also not too late to get the streaming ticket. We are going to stream live. Boy, oh boy, the plans, y'all. The plans. I can't even tell you. I'm so excited I'm so excited about everybody who's coming too. I'm just jumping out of my skin. I can't wait to see all of my lovelies. And thank you, Tanya and Joanne. You guys are the sweetest. I can't wait to see everybody too for full bloom. Thank you again for joining me. I will see you tomorrow. Transformational Tip Tuesday. I'll be here. Peace.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.